Good morning, John. Good morning, Penny.
Good morning, Will.
How are you?
Morning.
Gotta get my boot on. Oh, no. It's not a joke, Will.
Oh yeah, because you hurt your foot. So
Yeah.
you took the wrong lesson from me in
Man.
2018.
Hey, I only badly sprained. I didn't break anything. So
Oh, that's good. And
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
actually had that boot that you had.
Oh, well,
Good morning,
yeah.
Jeff. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
Just something. For the purposes of Zoom, I feel like I can never quite get the lighting right, except for when the sun hits at a perfect angle in my house.
Sun?
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I'm suffering today. I can't get my
Yeah.
inside lights to quite do the right trick. But as the day goes on, it'll get better.
Well, they sell lights that are lighting that's supposed to be good for Zoom for people who do a lot of, do a lot of presentations and that sort of thing. I have no idea how well it really works, but I know mine's terrible. But
I got a desktop one that's not too bad. I tried to get one of those like round ones, but
yeah, those are the ones that I've.
How much did it cost?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like-
that. Yeah.
pennies.
How much did it cost, John?
I got like I can't pull it off here, but it's it's pretty cool actually. It's like an LED, but it's got a charging port too. So like $20 off Amazon. I'll send you the link.
Okay. Was that what yours
Yeah.
was, Penny? Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It has an
mine has
arm
a
you can-
tripod too that I could use instead of this. So
And this one works as a desktop lamp, Will, but then you can turn it so it can like point to your face if you need it to, like if you want it to be aggressive.
well, and mine you can have it be like a blue tint or a cream tint or yeah.
Fancy. Good morning,
Yeah.
Byron. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Sorry, I'm playing with it to get it turned on here. So
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
see this, Will, how
morning.
I'm playing with it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we know what to get you for your birthday now.
Oh,
Morning, Doris.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Good.
so everyone's probably going to hate me for this, but I was sad that we only got a dusting of snow. I hope we get at least one good storm this year because I think it's so pretty when it sits there like 6 inches and it's all sort of covered and the sound's all muffled. And
Oh, totally agree with you on that. It's been a pretty depressing winter so far without any real snow.
I agree. However, I will say, and I think Doris will back me up on this, the first time it snowed and I wasn't the hand director, I was walking down the sidewalk and I realized I'm not in charge of the sidewalk snow ordinance anymore. I did this like strange little dance on the street. My husband's like, what the heck? I'm like, I don't have to enforce sidewalks anymore.
Wait, what?
Sorry about your luck, dude. It's the worst.
What? I'm just joking. Just kidding.
so it is 8:02, and I think we have quorum given our current staffing on this commission because we have 5 members. So with that, I would like to call the January 2022 meeting of the Monroe County Affordable Housing Advisory Commission to order. I want to welcome everyone on this very chilly day. We have a fairly diverse agenda this morning. Our first item up is our December minutes, meeting minutes, which I sent out. And thanks to Lisa for getting those done. Did anyone have any recommended amendments to those minutes?
In the minutes, you say that the slides were attached and I didn't see them attached.
I don't know how to attach the slides.
They were set out under separate email.
Yeah, it should just state that probably then. Yeah.
Okay, is everyone agreeable to just revising that? Let me change this. Any opposition to that amendment? Okay, I will make that change. With that, do I hear a motion to adopt the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes carry. Thank you all. Then next up, we have on our agenda is the election of new officers. And so we need to have nominations for chair, vice chair, and secretary. As I mentioned, I'm stepping down. My term technically ended in December. So I am not eligible to serve on any of these roles. That said, I think there are a lot of good people here, and I think we can fill these with high quality leadership. So do I hear nominations for either chair, vice chair, and or secretary?
Chris Cockrum here. Hey, I would like to nominate Mary for the chair. Is she on the call by any chance?
She is
He
not.
isn't. I was gonna nominate her for the secretary.
Well,
It's maybe, do we think it's unethical to nominate her in absentia?
Should I text her and tell her what's going on?
If she were able to join us for this, that would be great. I mean, I think she'd be a very strong candidate for either chair or for secretary myself.
May I ask, Will, why you think you can't serve again?
Because I didn't ask for a third term. Because I'm teaching a class for IU and running for reelection to township board and day job and trying to not go insane. So I'm trying to figure out what I can minimize. So unfortunately, this was one of the ones that is going.
well,
Let's see if she pops on after that text.
oh, is she going to jump on?
I don't know. There she is.
She is, here she is.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
I knew that would get her attention.
Good morning, Mary. You've been nominated to serve as chair, vice chair, and secretary for the year. Do you want to do all three? Look at that face. That was a joke, by the way. But people are interested to know if you'd be interested in either being nominated for chair or secretary.
She needs another drink of coffee.
Mary, they weren't kidding. Right before you got on, you were nominated for each of those slots. You might want to unmute after you finish. Jenny.
After I finish laughing.
Well, I was going to say vulgar language, but that's okay.
Oh, man. I thought Chris was in line for something, some leadership position.
Well, Mary, as much as I am passionate about our cause, my schedule and bandwidth, because I teach a couple classes at Kelly School as well, is crazy right now. And Lisa could probably attest to this. But I feel like, and again, I'm the one who nominated you. I feel like in your role in the community, in serving on this committee, I think, I mean, you seem to be a for this role. And so that's why I nominated you. I think you'd be great. I think it falls with what you're doing for the community today. So that's my thoughts, and plus I think you'd be a great leader in this role.
And I agree that you would be a great leader, but man, Chris, that was deep.
That was hard. Yeah,
She'd rather be secretary.
I got out of bed at 7:35 today, so I'm still not quite with it. Sure.
To
That would-
chair.
that-
Hooray.
Gary, for the clarity of the audience, that's for the chair position, correct?
It would seem so. I did not hear the nomination, but I believe that is what I'm agreeing to do. So can we start? Do we have to start this meeting?
We can have that conversation after after elections.
Okay.
Let's get your elections first. Any other nominations for chair? My hunch is no, but we should give people an opportunity. With that, I would like to move for nominations for vice chair. Who wants to support Mary in her success?
I think Chris does, because he
Okay.
got elected to vice chair last month. It will be
Well,
the shortest tenure of anyone ever if he doesn't do it.
I have my speech ready for my one month term as I no, actually, well, thank you, Lisa, but I was actually going to nominate you for vice chair officially because I think you've done an excellent job on being a secretary, but I know that's a pretty big role, and I think you've carried it for 3 years now, and you've done it. I mean, just a fabulous job. I tried to cover you for 1 month and failed miserably. I had to have your help to finish those notes, but I think it would be a natural for you to go to the vice chair.
I think after 3 years of being secretary, it's time for me to take a rest.
Yeah, I hear. Well, with Mary's leadership, I would be happy to serve as vice chair.
Terrific.
Thank you, Chris. Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I would like to move on to secretary. After the Lisa's glowing and Chris's glowing endorsement of how fun the job is, who would like to take the minutes?
Recording.
I'm not sure what was just said.
It was Chris. He's on 2 places, so it was
Got it.
reverberation, whatever that is.
So I think for the people attending at this point, we have, because Jenna's not here, we have Byron, Doris, and Lisa. Lisa has indicated after, I think, being our secretary since the beginning, if I remember correctly, in 2018, has decided that maybe this is a time to leave a break from that particular role. Byron, Doris, are either of you interested in that leadership role?
No,
Not at this time.
Okay,
I don't.
so would somebody be
I
willing
know
to?
Doris sounded unsure. Didn't you think she sounded unsure?
well, let me say it again so that you can make sure I'm sure. No.
One of the things I appreciate about Doris is that she is very clear communicator, and I like that. So maybe what we do is, Lisa, if you'd be willing to take today's minutes, the commission revisits this position at the February meeting. Maybe when Jana's around, maybe see if she's interested. I am looking, this gets us a little ahead, but I've asked Dinah to confirm whether or not Dominic Thompson was appointed to this commission because he wasn't sure, but I did see his name on the roster on the county's website. So we're trying to clarify if he's a member or not. And so maybe he would be interested as well. So let's revisit this in February.
I'm pretty sure he was.
I had checked with him and maybe his letter just hadn't reached him yet because he wasn't sure, but he had applied. So we were just trying to get clarification.
I'll double check.
Thank you, Penny. I appreciate that. And so with that, for the two positions we have names on the floor for, Mary for chair and Chris for vice chair, do I hear a motion either separately or together for them to be elected into those respective roles?
I move that we elect Mary and Chris as chair and vice chair or something to that.
Do I hear?
Lisa as temporary secretary until a new one is found.
Thank you, Doris. Do I
I'll
hear a
second.
second? Thank you, Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent. We have wonderful new leadership. Thank you all. And then Mary, I can finish out today. I do need to jump off this at about 8:55 if you want me to, or I'm happy to relinquish control to you as the new chair.
I would love it if you could end your tenure by leading us in this meeting, and I will pick it up in February.
Perfect, will do. Thank you, Mary. So then with that, our next agenda item is the 2021 annual report, which I had sent as an attachment. The bulk of it you'll remember from the 3 quarterly reports that we approved incrementally. And so I just basically collated those together and added the materials for October, November, and December. So hopefully that should be in pretty good shape. In the ordinance that I can't remember the title of off the top of my head, in Monroe County Code, we are asked to submit an annual report to the commissioners and I think county council every year. So we were trying to start this as a practice for our commission. And with that, I will stop talking.
I thought you did a great job.
Yeah, I was fascinated to read back through what all had occurred last year. It really, yeah, sparked a lot of good kind of activity in my brain cells there.
Yes, I agree. Will, you did a great job in putting all of that information together, and looking back, it showed that the commission did a lot.
Did anyone notice, especially for October, November, December, any omissions? Anything I either left out or maybe I misconstrued?
I don't see anything that I would suggest changing. I do wonder, is this something that we can get posted on the commission's website?
I will be submitting it to Dinah, and I assume that it will get posted to the document center along with being shared to the commissioners and the county council, but I will ask for clarification to make sure that and ask if it can be posted in the document center so that it would be available to everyone publicly.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe alongside the same way our agendas and minutes are. If there are no recommended edits, do I hear a motion to adopt the 2021 annual report for the Monroe County Affordable Housing Advisory Commission?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The report is adopted. Thank you, everyone. Then next up, related on the same topic, was just now that we've done this once, did we like the process? Do we think it's an effective process to do it incrementally in quarterly reports and then collating with the final one as a final report to try to see if that's the approach we want to handle for an annual report for 2022?
I would ask you, and from your work with Kathy previously, how much of a time commitment is that to put together every quarter?
So I wrote them, I would say probably took me about maybe like an hour total each time, so that I just looked back and I just looked over the notes and sort of what we did. And I just sort of wrote it up and tried to, some of it was just about reformatting for us to synthesize, right? To figure out what I wanted to shorten shorten up because we didn't want it to just be sort of a second iteration of all the minutes. We wanted it to be a highlighted version, right? And then a digest. So I would say that's what it took me. So I would say maybe I spent 4 hours over the past 12 months on it.
And Will, did you just go back through, obviously Lisa's notes are great and our minutes are great, and just went through and just kind of went through each of the notes to fill those in? And because I'm thinking next year, I like the format a lot. And again, I think, if we could use that as a template to be able to recreate each year, I think would make it easier for future leadership as well, unless they wanted to change it up.
So that was my base. I think occasionally if I wanted clarification, I think occasionally I looked through some emails and stuff, but I used the minutes as the base as our public record.
Mhm.
The only other question I would have is, I think the fact that the commissioners asked us to file an annual report indicates that there is some value to the commissioners in having that. And so I would ask Penny if that's the case, if you think that there's any value in the format, like the level of detail, or is it what you wanted? And will you be able to use it as a resource?
Well, for one thing, this is one of the more active commissions in terms of all the programming you do, at least the ones that I'm participating in terms of a community type of thing. And so I think it's really, really good, because one of the things we could do is anytime we would need to or want to, we can say, oh, who knows about X or Y? And they're in this annual report for us to go back to whenever we would need it. There are a lot of changes, Mary. You're helping to lead some of those changes on the housing front. And so there will be times when people want other information and other experts. I don't know, Peter, do you have a sense of this also? I know you're not on the commission, not a commissioner, but you do a lot of the liaison work for the council.
Yeah, I think any type of reporting that we have to keep I'm sorry, my alarms are going off. Any reporting that we have to kind of track progress is really helpful. And I know in the council, we have a tradition of inviting folks to come and present to the council some of their findings, but also maybe even recommendations. I know that's been a focus of this body, is to come before the bodies with recommendations. And so that's always helpful to see.
Great, thank you.
And the person in our office is Dina. Just as a correction to the pronunciation.
Thank you, Penny, I appreciate that.
You'll get along better with her.
I don't know if we need a vote or not, but it sounds like this is the approach the commission would like to continue taking for 2022, with the idea of a report to be delivered in January of 2023. Is that correct? Is that the consensus?
Yes.
Perfect. With that, then we can move on. Our next item would be vacancies. So it sounds like Dominic was appointed, which means if my math is right, I think we have currently 4 vacancies, either present or pending for this commission, with the recent departure of David Henry and Deborah Meyerson, who both resigned in January because of other competing time commitments, and then mine not asking for a 3rd term, and then having one other holdover from before with the departure of Sarah and Kathy. One of those has now been filled by Dominic Thompson, it sounds like. So that means we have 4 vacancies. I did trying to think out, because if my memory was right, the ordinance establishing us really wanted us to have a student perspective on this commission. I did reach out to the director and associate director of the PACE program to see if any of their students would be interested in applying. And I sent them a blurb to try to get it, generate interest amongst some students, but I've not heard anything from that after that. So I don't know if they may have applied and just not reached out to me and asked for any questions they may not have had. One thing to think about is ways we might want to recruit and help the county commissioners recruit good members to this body.
So we'll have a question. Is there a particular focus of study? Because I do think adding a student to would be nice. I mean, they have such a huge, population of students here in Bloomington. Is there a particular area of study that your thought or our commission's thought of? Because I'm the director of the commercial real estate workshop, and obviously I have a lot of students. I have 120 students that have deep passion for real estate and real estate development and just study of real estate. But if we're thinking more, Lisa, over at SPIA or something like that, obviously, obviously I want it to be the right fit. Is there any thoughts on that?
I'm personally, I think the other members would be helpful to have their perspective on this particular question. I'm agnostic. I reached out to the political and civic engagement program mainly because I already knew people there. So that's why I started with them, because I was like, these will respond and there's a good chance they'll share this information with their students. My hunch is it matters less what the student's area of study is and more, is this an issue they're thoughtful with? Are they willing to sort of think critically and from multiple perspectives on housing related issues, and to be able to effectively convey what it's like from the student perspective to live in Monroe County? If it was somebody from Ivy Tech, that would be wonderful too. That would be a great perspective to have, right? Because that can be different than some of the students at IU Bloomington. And of course, the student body at IU Bloomington is incredibly diverse in terms of socioeconomic background, right? So some students at IU Bloomington are regularly going to food banks and others live in high-end apartments. So one voice isn't going to speak for all, no matter who we get. And in fact, if we could get somebody, say maybe from IU Bloomington and Ivy Tech, would be, in my personal perspective, would be a wonderful complementary set of voices to have on this body.
I think one of the challenges will be the meeting time, frankly.
Especially after we just beat Purdue. I doubt they would have shown up today. No, there's a lot of talented students, so I think they would add value. Whoever decided that they wanted to serve. So
I might.
I agree, Chris. And I think it wouldn't hurt to have more than one student. So if we had someone from your real estate class or program and another one from Will's outreach, we have 4 openings, so 2 of them by students, and have 2 different perspectives. Their perspective would be great.
I
like the idea of calling Ivy Tech and suggesting, seeing if I could get a volunteer from there. Because that's a different type of student, and I think that they have different. I think the viewpoints will be different.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, would you be willing to do some outreach in the Kelly world? Lisa, would you be willing to do some outreach in the Ivy Tech world? Does anyone, I thought, Chris, you mentioned someone on here has connections with SPIA. Maybe they could do outreach there.
Well, Lisa teaches at SPIA. So I think of a student that I personally know. He was an intern for me. He was an intern with Amber Scobie. I was able to make that connection, and he is now interning with TWG, Travis Vinsel, all in affordable housing. So he's really, being trained in that. Now, my thought is I would obviously want to post it amongst all the students and just see who had the time and the interest, but it would be great. I could see someone like that adding a lot of value. And again, I don't know if they have an interest.
If you want, I can email the 2 of you the little blurb I prepped for the PACE program students, so you can, as something to have on hand.
Absolutely. No, I think it'd be great. And
Hey,
it would not, go ahead, yes.
I was just gonna ask, who was the student you were talking about, if you don't mind sharing?
It was a Matt Netsky, Matthew
Okay.
Netsky.
I think I've come across him before. He's a good guy.
Yeah. He's very passionate about real estate and really loves the tax credit, affordable housing arena, and he's going to be great. But we'll send that along, because it won't only go to my direct students, which is about 120. It'd go to the entire real estate department, which I think we're at 350 right now. So and just let them know. And we post internships and we post opportunities quite often, so they're used to. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of what if this hits somebody's passion and somebody wants to apply.
I think this is great. Thank you. So if we were lucky and we're able to get, say, 2 students appointed out of this outreach effort, that would still potentially leave 2 other slots open. Do people have other ideas about who might be good to sort of recruit? One thing I noticed from last year in recruitment efforts was like Kathy and I recruited, we saw Jana's interest in this committee, so we outreached with her and helped answer some questions she had in advance so that she felt comfortable applying to the committee or the commission. So one is, are there people that we think would be worth similar sort of outreach to try to positively nudge them to apply? Obviously, this is always up to the county commissioners for appointments. It may be something we don't have the answer today, just can think about. But if you know good people, I would say that, a personal touch is probably going to do more to get them to recruit, to get them to join than anything else, in my experience. So is there anything from your perspective, from the county commissioner, the board of commissioners, Penny, that you think would be good for us to keep in mind as we try to think of people to apply for this commission?
No, but we do take your recommendations, and we try to interview anybody who has applied before we appoint them. So, unless it's somebody like Dominic who we know. So, no, just a general interest in the area is what we're trying to look for, and somebody who actually attend meetings. Like Chris said, or Mary said, that 8 a.m. on a Friday morning may not entice a lot of students, but
Great. Well, it sounds like we have a general direction on this item. So if people are feeling comfortable, I would recommend we move on to the next agenda item, which is consideration of commission's goals for 2022. So last year, we decided to try, Kathy and I proposed the paired working group models on various initiatives, and we tried that approach, and we tried to help get this commission's point of view shared with various bodies, sort of generate work and ideas, right, as an advisory commission. So one thing is, at this point, it seems like a natural moment for us to reflect on where does the commission sort of, generally speaking, want to go for 2022?
So my question would be to Commissioner Gittens. Again, we're put together from the commissioners, and what goals would you, from a commissioner standpoint, what goals would you think, or would you like for us to have on our list? Is there any particular ones that would, obviously benefit the commissioners?
well, I mean, one of the session that we had in December with, I think it was December, with Jackie and Mr. Gillen talking about North Park, those, we are going to be having to make those kinds of decisions. And so for me personally, it's really important to learn about those kinds of things. And so where can we infill? Where can we, look at things that are reasonable, that fit with our current view of the county. So I guess for me, you just keep bringing up things that we need to be considering and educating, especially me. So I found it a great benefit, the kinds of things that you talk about.
There was recently an adjustment to a PDU approved down in Harrodsburg. And so one of the things that got me thinking about is this commission has talked a lot about and thought a lot about, for good reason, about the area sort of around the borders of the city of Bloomington and Ellettsville. But I wonder if maybe there might be some value, and we did this a little bit when we talked about sewers, thinking about some of the more smaller communities, the Steinsville, the Harrodsburg, the Smithsvilles, and sort of what sort of that piece of the puzzle looks like, and recommendations this body might have for those pockets as well.
Yeah, having been out to Steinsville, it looks like some redevelopment would be appropriate out there. Some ways to rejuvenate the area. So I would love to have you guys zero in on some of that.
So I have a comment. I guess Commissioner Githens, I would be interested in what the commissioners feel the role of this body is. I think that a couple of times we've tried to schedule meetings that, you know, sometimes didn't take place, to get just some input on what you see our role is in assisting the commissioners in identifying affordable housing projects of land, just what you see our role is.
Advising us, you know, making sure that we're moving in the right direction to help county residents. And that includes not just the people in the unincorporated parts.
And so when there's projects that's going to be coming before the commission, would you reach out to this committee to get our advice, or would you prefer us to provide you with some type of recommendation prior to you considering projects?
I hadn't thought about that before, but also we don't always have that time frame. Like we'll get something before us in a work session and then it comes back a week, the next week, or in 2 weeks. So sometimes there's not a lot of calendar time to get that done.
Doris, can I ask a clarifying question? Maybe, do you have something in mind, like if something went before, say, the Plan Commission and before it gets to the county commissioners, are like AHAC sort of looking it over and then making sort of a statement saying, we think this would be good for X reasons, or we think this may not be great for X reasons, so that then the county commissioners can consider that in their final approval or not of the request?
Yes, that would be nice. You know, just a little bit more involvement of the committee and not just us meeting, but to have a little bit more active role in providing some, to be an advisory committee to the commissioners.
Penny, would you be willing to take that back to the Board of Commissioners and see if that is something the board is willing to, would like this body to do, a service for this body to do in support of the board? You're muted, Penny.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm making a note here about it. I think on Wednesday we have something coming before us that we have to vote on the zoning, but it's just on a parking lot extension. So I doubt that that's anything you want to get involved with.
I think Doris was probably thinking, like, you know, as housing projects, like, so imagine this was 2 months ago and the plan had sort of, commission had done the Harrisburg PUD revision request. This body consider it, make a little note for you to consider as you decide your final determination.
Yeah.
Doris, that's a great recommendation. Thank you.
Maybe you want to have somebody from this group who actually follows what goes on at the Plan Commission also. I know sometimes their meetings run pretty long, but
Mhm.
Chris, are you on that commission?
No, I'm not. I'm on the city's planning commission.
Okay, yeah.
But one of the things that I receive on all projects, and I love Doris's suggestion, because one of the notes I made is follow current projects very closely. But like on any project, I get a comments from the environmental commission, and I'll get different comments from different commissions as we sit and review a project. And that's, I could see our role, I mean, obviously with the commissioner's approval, is to, not really make recommendations, but give our view or maybe a recommendation on what our thoughts are on a particular project. And it could be, again, more just data that we might be able to provide or that we could do a little more research on. So I don't know if that goes with what you were talking about, Doris, but I like the idea of tracking those.
I'm sorry, there is a timeline issue though, too. Once the planning commission has passed on something, the board of commissioners has to move on it within, I think it's 60 days. So there are time considerations. Sorry,
Chris.
sorry, Jeff.
Jeff, one quick second. Chris, because this is direct follows up to what something you said. Are you suggesting as a slight amendment to maybe what Doris is proposing, is that when something gets submitted to the plan commission, it also gets submitted to this body so that we can review it earlier and have our this body's opinion sort of attached to the plan commission's review and then move up to the commissioners? That way there we avoid the time constraints that Penny is pointing, Commissioner Giffens is pointing us to.
Well, I think that would be a good thing logistically, so we were aware of all projects. I think we do, with our community involvement, we do see the projects that come about. But I don't think that, I think that could help trigger us tuning into a project and making sure we're following it closely and adding value where we can.
Perfect.
So I like that recommendation.
Jeff?
Oh, thanks for letting me speak. I was just, from the perspective of somebody who's serving on the county plan commission, but not representing them. It is, so first of all, there is a very strict timeline with respect to, when petitions get filed, then when they appear on a public agenda. So, the agenda gets released to everyone at the same time. So everyone in the community knows at the same time when a petition is going to be on a particular agenda. But I would say that if I would find it valuable as a plan commission member to have either recommendations or not even recommendations, just thoughts or analysis of the impact of particular petitions that we're going to be considering on housing. And if any member of the public can submit communications to the plan commission about a particular petition item, and those, if they're received in a timely manner, they're actually included in the packet that goes out to the entire plan commission. And we routinely get communications that are included in those packets. They tend to either be remonstrance from neighbors or often from community groups such as the BEDC. If there's something that's business related, for example, we might get a letter of support or something like that. But I think if that's the sort of thing that this commission would be interested in, I would think that most members of the plan commission would find it valuable to have some analysis from the housing perspective in the packet to read along with with the other letters of opposition or support. It's just a thought. I know that it's sometimes it might be difficult to make that timeline just because petitions do need to move forward, and the plan commission has a certain amount of time, and then if it goes before the board of commissioners, if it's a rezone or a PUD, then they have a certain amount of time to have it considered. I would find that analysis useful, I guess is what I'm saying.
And not all the things that go before you are related to necessarily housing. There are commercial and agricultural rezones and
oh yeah, a lot of what we do would just be would just involve one block,
signs,
for example.
yeah,
minor subdivisions. Yeah, so it wouldn't be like you would need to make comment about everything, but if there's any project that and the chances are, if there's any project of any size, it's probably going to go through 2 plan commission meetings anyway. Usually, we have the ability to waive the final hearing, but usually that's only done on non-controversial items.
I would say if we're going to take this on, we would need to identify one of us to be essentially a point person or liaison, so that we would make sure that we would be tracking those projects.
That might be a good task for your new vice chair.
Well,
He speaks that language and he can read the report, pass on the things that are of note.
I'd be happy to. And then another thing, as we, in future meetings, as we talk about what would we want to report on and how would these recommendations look if we had some sort of format or research that we wanted to provide. Obviously, we could pinpoint the areas that we think would bring value to Jeff and and the commissioners, county commissioners and planning commissioners. And it would also keep us very focused on the housing. What's the housing proposals in our county, and we just keep us right on top of it, which is where I think we need to be.
So it sounds like we have a good direction on this great idea. Thank you again, Doris, for raising it. It sounds like a positive way to move forward and to add more value to these discussions for the county. So we have more attention to the smaller communities, this great idea about trying to make review and make recommendations for consideration by plan commission and county commissioners on housing related matters. Are there any other goals for this commission for 2022 on the table? Obviously, we can always add more as we go, as new things come up, right? But have a general sense of where we want to go.
So I have another comment, sorry. So are we going to keep the subcommittees that were formed? I guess I look to Mary since she's the new chair.
Well, I would ask that the members here what your thoughts were on the work. I will admit that I did not have the capacity to do a lot of the work that I think we envisioned when we started these. So what do you all think?
I think the roles in the things that are being asked for in these subgroups is hugely important. But I would agree it's hard to get focus and obviously because I think of what Lisa and I's role was data and to understand the data a lot more, and I think that's so huge. But I mean, obviously it takes time, and so I think the mission of each one of the subcommittees are I mean, again, it's I think it's data that we should have, and I commend Will and Kathy and everyone for thinking through that. But is it done through subcommittees, or how do we get that information? I mean, I think that can be open to discussion.
From the perspective of thinking how last year went, I thought those working groups, the paired working groups, got a lot done. But I also felt like in the closing months of the year, they'd sort of run their course, at least for the time being. So maybe it's something that the commission may want to consider just sort of not pursuing initially, unless there are specific topics that people think might be worth creating a new pair or subcommittee on as needed basis.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I feel that the subcommittee, that I wasn't able to dedicate a lot of time to the subcommittee that I was on. And maybe it's something that can be evaluated moving forward and reworked into some other type of committees and, you know, well, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Any other general sense of goals, directions, things we don't want to do? Hearing none, our next item on our agenda is the just general comments people want to make. General commissioners' comments. Observations, concerns.
I'll just make some. First off, Will, thank you for your service. You've been a great leader in this commission, something that started from scratch, and we've kind of tried to figure out what our mission was and the direction we have. And I think you and Kathy and Vox and all the leadership beforehand has helped us get to where we are today. I really like our conversations today. I love that we're going to track the developments. We're going to have, potential, be able to make comments that could add value to the planning commissioners and the commissioners. So I love the direction, and it was all based on the work that was done before us. So thank you, Will.
I would echo Chris. Thank you, Will. Sorry you're going to be not seeking another term, but glad to see that you will still be very active in the community. One thing that occurred to me is, as we were talking, and Doris and I were talking about the paired working groups, and I believe Doris and I were liaisons to the RDC.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is that, Lisa, you have cycled off the RDC. So we might want to think about recruiting somebody from the RDC to join this group. So I think that's an important connection.
They haven't replaced me yet, but I'm serving until I'm replaced, but I know that's in the works.
Okay. So something to think about in the future.
Penny, is there a member of the RDC who you think may be a good person for this commission to potentially recruit to serve on both? You're muted, Penny.
I was sort of thinking the reverse, since we do need to replace Lisa and she's asked that that be done. She's served for years on the commission. That it might be good from somebody from here, whether it's Byron or Doris, or, we've already given Chris something else to do here. that it would be good to have that kind of input because of the perspective that folks on this group have. I don't know, Jeff, do you have something else to add?
No, I think I think that's a great idea. I mean, the vacant seat is the commissioner's appointment. The county council appointees right now are Iris Kiesling and Colin McCarty. And they've just been reappointed for the year, so we don't have a vacancy. But I think the idea of somebody from this commission being recruited to serve, if the commissioners are so interested, would be a terrific idea.
I think I will be interested in looking into that.
Be great, Byron.
Excellent. Any other general commissioner comments? Hearing none, I would like to open it to the public. General comments from the public. John?
No, I'm good. I accidentally unmuted. Well,
Okay.
I just want to say good morning to everybody, and let us know if you need anything from the HAM department, of course. Glad to be on these meetings.
Thank you, John. Any other comments from the public? Hearing none, I would like to adjourn, consider adjourning this month's meeting of the Monroe County Affordable Housing. Oh, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, actually, do you mind if I make one brief comment?
No, please do.
this is kind of in line with some of the comments earlier about analyzing the kind of rural communities or urbanizing communities. There's one area that this came up in Plan Commission over this last meeting. There's one area in the county that is, I would say, I think we can all agree on is underplanned. And right now that's fine, but there's going to be pressure at some point. And that's the Sample Road area. And in fact, the comprehensive plan refers to the 37, incorporates the 37 corridor plan that was done as well. And the corridor plan basically says that this area should be used for high quality housing and possibly even urban-like developments in the future. But because at the time that the plan was written, there were a lot of questions about what the actual plans for I-69. So, for example, the corridor study says that at this point there are no frontage roads planned for I-69. Now, of course, we know now that there are planned frontage roads around that area. The interchange has been built, and so this may be one of those opportunities to start thinking about an area long term. There's no immediate development pressure that, well, I can't say that, but there's not a lot of immediate development pressure, and there's some infrastructure constraints. That there's basically sewer is the big constraint up there. But that's just if the group wants to think, has the opportunity to kind of think long term about what our existing plan calls for as possible housing. That's an area to think of.
And Jeff, is that in the, what report would the commission find the general plan that the county had put in place for that area?
It's called I think the 37 corridor study. And it is available on the county. It's available actually not on the regular county website. It's available on the Monroe CDO website. And but the study is incorporated by reference in the comprehensive plan. So it is essentially part of the comprehensive plan. It's just not in that particular document. But yeah, read the section in particular about the Sample Road corridor. And the decision was made basically since there was no infrastructure and no knowledge of what the frontage road situation would be, to essentially temporarily zone it as just very low density housing until such time as it could actually be planned for.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a great suggestion for the commission to consider. I know I need to cycle off for another meeting. Mary, do you want to close this out?
Sure. Thanks, Will.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. So Jeff, you mentioned the comp plan that this corridor study is part of. I had heard some comments over the past year about revisiting the comp plan, or more that the comp plan is outdated. Are there any plans to revisit it, or was that just kind of general grousing?
There are no plans that I'm aware of right now, but I mean, that comment has certainly been made, and not only by one person, one plan commission member either. There are several ways, and I mean, actually, if you look at the Sample Road component of the plan, it's obviously outdated, since it refers to fears that I-69, because of financial issues, won't be completed, and also the lack of any plan for frontage roads. So that it's clear that the very basis for that plan is already been overcome by events. But yeah, I think I'm not aware of any specifics, but there are multiple members of the Plan Commission that think some aspects of the comprehensive plan are outdated.
But no effort underway, or even talks of starting something to update
No, I think we
it.
need to get the CDO done first.
Yep. Okay, thanks. All right, any other comments from commissioners or others? All right, then I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for the discussion, and we'll see you in February. Bye.